Okay, we're here at the TT 2012 sidecar paddock with the first Manx-born sidecar driver, Debbie Barron. So Debbie, how does a manager of a leisure centre become a sidecar driver at the TT?
It's a pretty long story, but I've always been involved in sport throughout my life, at school, hockey, swimming, golf, and then became a lifeguard at National Sports Centre and just recently moved to be the manager of the Southern Swimming Pools. So sport has always been involved in my life, and so is sidecars in the background as well. My godfather was a sponsor of a very famous sidecar driver, Dave Saville. Sidecars have always been a favourite growing up here. That's the one thing that I used to like going out and watching as a child. But also as a marshal, I just, loved it, wanted to do it. It was always the dream to drive a sidecar, not be a passenger, to drive a sidecar. And yes, I've had motorbikes, but I think I was a little bit crazy on motorbikes. And I don't think I would have got to TT status on a solo, to be honest with you. Last year was our big push to try and qualify for. I had a national licence last year. I was trying for the international licence. And what we wanted to do last year was race in the UK as many times as we could, and we did the Euro 600 series. That was sort of twofold. One, it was getting more racing experience, but it was getting racing experience with the TT guys, the John Holdens, the Conrad Harrisons, and that way we also, sort of found our feet. It improved our speeds and our times as well. But also it was racing 18-lap races around the likes of Donington International Circuits, Cadwell Park, Anglesey the International. So that was more time on the machine, whereas here, taking nothing away from Derby, Derby's a great starting place and continuance. We need more tracks. I would have done Derby Road last year, but they did away with it, so I didn't have that opportunity. So if you want signatures and you want development, you have to go away, you have to. So that's the gentleman that I purchased the sidecar from. He wrote me a lovely letter, and it said, "Debbie, you'll be broke most of the time, but," he said, "you'll have the quality of life that you want and do what you want, so that will make up for having nothing in your pocket and bare feet." Right, I'm running a Niacin chassis. It's a 1989 chassis. It is running Kawasaki ZX6Rs 1999 and 2000. It's carburation, it's not fuel injected. Maxton front suspension and Coney rear suspension. I can't afford to run 2010 or 11 engines and have the electronics that some of these machines have on. I'm looking to sell my car and a classic motorbike that I've got to purchase a fuel injected sidecar for next year. But I've been very reliant this year on local sponsors as well as some UK sponsors, and without them and without family and friends, I couldn't have done this. I couldn't be here today. I mean, even the ladies just turned up now with tea bags and coffee. That all helps. You don't have to spend your money on those things. You can spend it on oil and fuel and cable ties and, all sorts of things like that. So the sponsors are massive, and it's a big, big help. Even a smallest amount goes a long way. So I want to say thank you right now to everybody that's helped me. Team Oscar Racing. In 2009, I was recovering from double surgery of a cracked sternum and a torn off bicep at the top of the shoulder and the arm. And in recovery, I went to the hyperbaric chamber. I was having lots of treatment in there, and without them, I wouldn't have the full use of my left arm. But one of the days that I woke up, and after, I think it was something like six weeks, my arm was strapped to my body vertically and horizontally, and I couldn't lie down, and I had to sleep on a beanbag. And one morning I sort of woke up and I was growling as my partner, and he says, "You're just like Oscar off Sesame Street." And I says, "Who's Oscar?" And he says, "He's a little green creature with tufty hair that lives in a bin." and you're always messing about with sidecars. So he said, and that's where the team name came from. But the word team in it has got nothing to do with me. It's everybody that we come in contact with and everybody that helps us. That's the word where team comes from. The people that have been involved are work colleagues and family and friends. And firstly is Stig, my partner. Next I have Rob Lunt, who's my passenger this year, who also did the Southern 100 with us. On board has been Julie Canepa, Janet Jones and Tony Corlett, and they have been the basis of Team Oscar. But now we have sponsors like Paul Tippler, we have Swift Motors, we have Castle Cuts Hairdressers, we have Anthea Matthewman, we have all the marshals from Ballagary, where I've marshalled for 21 years, they've all contributed. We have the Queen's Pub in Laxey, and there's many, many more, and they're all Kevin Ashworth Timber, supplied us tyres. I would also like to thank at this time Canines Filling Station and Union Mills, who not only did they supply us the fuel for the Southern 100 last year, but they've supplied all our fuel that we require for this year's TT. So thank you. The problems that we've had this year, I have to take full responsibility. I put an engine in, we'd had a problem with it, I didn't check it, we were rushing, and I didn't ensure that it had 3.8 litres of oil in it. So consequently, when we were out, I heard a noise tinkling in the engine, stopped it, thought we'd caught it, got it up to Slick, who's been absolutely marvellous, stripped it apart. The big end had gone, so he replaced it for us. Then the next time I went out, we were again rushing, which is no good at all when you're racing. You need things prepared, but we'd had other things go wrong. And we'd left the dust plugs in the top of the carbs, which then flooded the engine, and then when we did go out it blew the little end, so it put a great big hole in my second engine, which was my race engine. So with the help of other people, Kenny Howells, Beryl Bridson, we've obtained 2 engines from a dealership in the UK. They were written off motorcycles, we got them shipped to the Isle of Man, and they are on the workbench of Slick Bass at the moment, awaiting parts which will arrive on Monday of practice week and then be put together, and hopefully we'd have them for the end of practice week, or at least one of them. At the moment I have an absolute bog standard everything, and hopefully we can just get a few laps done on Saturday and start the TT campaign. I have to be realistic. I have friends that have done many TTs and haven't qualified, or have qualified and not made the race, or broken down in the racing and things like that. So I have to be realistic, and my aims are to take it in various stages like I do most of my life. Get to scrutineering, get through that. Go out on the sighting lap, get through that. Go through the practice laps, do the necessary practice laps, then to try and do the quick lap that we need to qualify, or 2 quick laps, get them going. And then if we manage to get to the racing, that's the top of Everest for me. Then to finish the race is we actually descend down to the bottom of Everest. So that's where my ambition. I have to be realistic, and most important, I have to have fun and be safe, and so does my passenger. That is a massive thing to me, that the both of us come away from the fortnight happy and wanted to go to the Southern 100 in 3 or 4 weeks' time.